He just wanted to be a good neighbor and fix her broken fence. He had no idea the quiet woman next door secretly owned half the town. And when she found out he was raising his little girl alone after being abandoned, she saw something her money could never buy. Before you keep watching, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. The hammer echoed across the backyard on a hot Saturday afternoon as Jake hammered loose boards back onto the old wooden fence. Sweat rolled down his forehead, but he was determined to finish before sunset. "Daddy, can I help?" 8-year-old Lily's sweet voice made him smile. "Sure, baby girl. Hand me those nails over there." He pointed to the toolbox. Lily ran over, excited to feel useful. Lily was his whole world. 3 years ago, his wife Sarah walked out and never came back. Since then, it had been just the two of them against everything. Jake was owned a small auto repair shop downtown, worked overtime when he had to, and fixed neighbors' fences on weekends if it kept his little girl safe. "You're fixing it so I don't get hurt when I play, right?" Lily asked, eyes shining. "Exactly. And because good neighbors keep good fences, even when they're broken sometimes." He ruffled her hair. That's when he noticed they were being watched. On the other side of the fence stood a woman he'd only seen in passing. She'd moved in a few months ago, kept to herself, lived simply. Nobody really knew much about her. "Afternoon," she said with a shy smile. "Sorry to interrupt. Looks like you're fixing my fence." "Afternoon," Jake replied, wiping his hands on his jeans. "Hope you don't mind. Some boards were loose and Lily loves playing out here." "You didn't have to do that. I would have called someone." She walked over with a cold glass of sweet tea and handed it to him. "Neighbors help neighbors," he said, grateful for the drink. "Hi, I'm Lily," his daughter chirped, running up and sticking her tiny hand through a gap in the fence. "I have a rock collection. Wanna see?" The woman's face lit up. "I would love to. I'm Emma." Jake watched the exchange and felt something warm in his chest. Lily hadn't been this open with anyone since her mom left. "You new in Willow Creek?" he asked, getting back to work. "Not exactly," Emma said, looking out toward the rolling Tennessee hills. "I was born here, but I've been gone a long time. Came back a few months ago. Needed some quiet." There was a sadness in her eyes that caught Jake off guard. Lily came running back with a decorated shoebox full of rocks and shiny stones. Emma crouched down, genuinely listening to every wild story Lily told about where she found each one. Jake couldn't help but notice how Emma's smile looked like it had been locked away for years. "What do you do, Emma?" he asked, driving another nail. She hesitated. "I manage family businesses." Something in her tone told him not to push. "And you?" "Automechanik. Got a little shop downtown, Jake's garage. Nothing fancy, but it keeps the lights on and food on the table. Don't ever sell honest work short," Emma said seriously. "There's more dignity in fixing things with your own hands than in 100 boardrooms full of empty suits." Jake raised an eyebrow. That didn't sound like someone who just managed family businesses. Later that evening, after Lily begged and gave her best puppy eyes, the three of them ended up eating Emma's homemade mac and cheese around her kitchen table. It was the first time in years Jake had dinner with anyone other than his daughter. Something shifted that night. Something neither of them expected. 2 weeks later, the whole town was buzzing. Jake's assistant burst into the shop. "Man, you're not going to believe this. Your neighbor Emma? She's Emma Harrington, CEO of Harrington Holdings. She owns half the commercial real estate in 3 counties." Jake thought it was a joke, until he saw the banner being hung at City Hall. "Welcome home, Emma Harrington, Willow Creek's own billionaire." Suddenly, every dinner, every laugh, every late-night talk felt different. Was he just some charity case? A way for a rich woman to feel normal for a few weeks? That night, Emma showed up at his gate, nervous. "You know," she said quietly, "it wasn't a question. I found out today," Jake said. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I wanted you and Lily to know me, just Emma. Not the name on magazines and buildings." He wanted to stay mad, but the pain in her eyes was real. She told him everything. Parents died when she was 22, inherited an empire overnight, became the cold, ruthless CEO the world expected, and lost herself completely. Coming home to her grandmother's old house was supposed to be a quiet escape until a single dad and his little girl reminded her what actually mattered. Then the real trouble started. Victoria Langford, Emma's college friend turned cutthroat rival, rolled into town with a plan to buy up the historic district, tear down Jake's shop, and build a luxury mall. She even offered Jake 3 times market value for his garage, and sweetly let slip that Harrington Holdings already owned the house Jake and Lily rented. Jake felt the world spin. Had everything been a lie? But when push came to shove at the city council meeting, Jake walked in and stood up for Emma's plan. Saving the old buildings, creating local jobs, turning the abandoned factory into a technical training center where he could teach the next generation of mechanics. In front of the mayor, the press, and Victoria's smug face, Emma looked Jake dead in the eye and said, "I'm moving Harrington Holdings headquarters right here to Willow Creek. Hundreds of new jobs, real investment, respect for our history. Because this town and the people in it gave me back my life." Victoria stormed out. The council voted unanimously for Emma's vision. A few months later, Spring Blossom Festival. The town square was exploding with color, live country music, food trucks, and fairy lights. 8-year-old Lily stood backstage in her little white dress, clutching Emma's hand, nervous. They'd practiced the traditional dance for weeks. "You ready, sweetheart?" Emma asked, fixing the ribbon in Lily's hair. Lily looked up at her dad standing beside Emma and whispered, "Are we a family now?" Jake's throat got tight. He looked at Emma. Emma looked at him, eyes shining. "Yeah, baby girl," he said, voice rough. "We're a family." The music started. Lily ran onto the stage, twirled under the lights, and danced like she'd been born for it. When she finished, the whole town cheered. She ran straight into Jake and Emma's arms. Later that night, walking home under strings of bulbs, Lily skipped ahead holding both their hands, one in each of hers. Jake looked over at Emma and smiled. Who knew a broken fence could fix everything else? Emma laughed, leaned her head on his shoulder, and whispered, "Sometimes the best things in life start with a few loose boards." And just like that, the single dad who only wanted to be a good neighbor ended up with the strongest fence of all. A family. If that story gave you chills, smash that like button, drop a comment telling me your favorite part, and subscribe for more heartwarming stories every week. See y'all in the next one.